Hi and welcome to IndigoStarfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into then versus now. How have their feelings about you and the connection changed? So there are 4 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the black Tourmaline. Group 2 is the Apatite. Group 3 is the orange Selenite. And group 4 is the cherry quartz. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. Hi, Group 1. You chose the black Tourmaline. So I'm going to start by looking at the energies of then. How were they feeling about you last time you checked in with this person? If this is someone you're in a no contact situation with, maybe this is somebody you're currently dealing with, and so these feelings can talk about kind of the initial stages of having met you, the early stages of the connection. What was the energy that they were in about you? Okay, so we have Ace of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. King of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. 3 of Swords, so more air energy. The Lovers, which is Gemini. Pentacle, respect. And Watchtower of the East, spring. So first of all, with this energy of spring, Watchtower of the East, this is bringing to mind the idea in conjunction with the Lovers here, which can often represent choice, that previously this individual was kind of feeling that this was right person, wrong time. This may have been something where they were very direct, very blunt in their communication of this, maybe even a bit kind of callous or uncaring, not really taking into account your feelings, but may have just looked at the situation in a very black and white manner. Just no possibility, a very heartbreaking kind of energy with the 3 of Swords right here. Like, unfortunately, due to other circumstances, this situation cannot continue. They couldn't invest in it as deeply as they would have wanted to. This idea of pentacle and respect may have tied into, other relationships that they could have been in, other sort of circumstances in the material world, boundaries that were in place, limitations, maybe even something as far as like geographic distance, that you felt almost like a forbidden fruit, in some way out of touch, that it was a little too complicated, or that there almost wasn't enough incentive, enough to build upon. They may have looked at it just as a very kind of passion-based energy with the Ace of Wands here, almost a little bit of kind of being biased against the connection in a way, because of how deeply they were attracted to you, how much they felt for you, this kind of like passion and activation sort of energy, that it's almost they were reflecting on these feelings as maybe having little basis, little room to grow in the material world into something solid and substantial, like just kind of dismissing it as a passion-based connection, as something that if they were to choose to invest in the connection further, bypass obstacles, make a choice to move in your direction, that it's something that would have just inevitably ended in heartbreak. They may have, kind of thought that this would have been sort of like hot and heavy and then would burn out very quickly. Potential energy here, like this spring is talking almost like, it's bringing to mind the idea of like an egg, something that hasn't hatched, something where the future is very unknown, the possibilities are very unknown, that there were too many variables, too much of this unknown in the past that had caused them to either be hesitant about moving deeper into the connection. If this is someone you're still dealing with, this kind of initial sort of questioning may have caused them to, really take their time in this situation to explore, what are kind of some of the tangible and practical aspects of this connection beyond just the very visceral attraction and chemistry between the two of you. If this is someone you were dealing with in the past, then it definitely feels to be something where there almost wasn't enough faith and confidence in that unknown and what had the ability to really grow and develop out of these seeds of potential between the two of you. Like, it was just too vague. It was just too many options. Maybe there were literally other options that they had. If this is somebody that was single and was like dating around in some manner, they almost might have really second guessed or questioned the feelings that they had for you, almost sensing that they were a little too attracted to you, that it's something where they could have really feared losing themselves in the connection. That might have caused them to sort of put on the brakes, run from the intensity, whatever was activated or sparked within them. If there were third-party energies, this can again tie in with this idea of pentacle, and respecting something, some established structure that they had in place, like a long-term connection, someone they'd already committed to or promised themselves to. And although this meeting you and kind of what was sparked, it was very unexpected, it was very enticing, still at the same time there were too many variables, too much that was unknown as far as would it be worth the risk to move away from something that maybe was a little more in their comfort zone. Somebody, whether or not they had another person in the equation, just something about kind of like this wild card energy in the situation with you, or how they were perceiving you. You might have been very different from their usual type and expectation, different from the types of partners they were used to dealing with. These feelings, the intensity of these things could have been a lot more than they were accustomed to. They felt very out of their depth, very out of control, kind of retreating out of this passion-based energy into this like overly logical stance where, on paper it might have looked like it was too faulty of a foundation, like, the watchtower, a tower waiting to happen, something ready to, crumble at any moment. That in the past, this was something where it almost felt like the safe bet, the safe investment would either be to discontinue the connection, not participate further, not give further to the situation, to remain in something that was predictable and known, or to, continue to keep those options open and seek out somebody that was more their usual type, that fit into kind of the classical depiction of what they were used to in relationships, what they had kind of been pushed toward by family, by society, by conditioning, by other kind of expectations, sort of like choosing that path of fear rather than possibility, romance, and love, like this element of intrigue here. And so something that it almost feels that they were kind of originally or in the past sort of thinking, if circumstances were different, maybe if they didn't have these other entanglements, if they had met you sooner, if they had met you at a different time in their life, that things might be different. But just kind of in the way that they were, the energy they were in previously, it's like they weren't willing to take a gamble or a risk on investing in this situation further. Or it's something where, again, that not wanting to take a risk, not wanting to put themselves out there too much, not wanting to gamble with their feelings, or their future, or kind of whatever they have going on in the material world, that if this is someone you're dealing with currently, it's causing them to, again, sort of retreat out of that passion space, out of the heart space, and into that logical mind, kind of like willing themselves in the past to sort of take a more unbiased approach, to not let this chemistry and this very visceral connection, the energy flowing between the two of you, be that deciding factor. So I'm going to look at now what has changed. Has anything changed? Are they still in kind of in this energy? Have they evolved in some way? Have they regressed in any way? Like, what has changed about their feelings currently, like now, about you and the connection. Okay, so we have the Three of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Ace of Pentacles, so more Earth energy. Knight of Wands, fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. King of Pentacles, so more Earth energy. Imbolc, awakening. And Athame, boundaries. So with this obvious energy right here of, the mental energy, the sword energy, this boundaries, it is tying in with this kind of Ace of Pentacles that we saw here in the Pentacle energy, the respect. So maybe, third party energies are still a factor here. They are still choosing to almost prioritize these things, a need to gather more information. It almost feels like a bit of kind of cracking them open in some manner, though, because we've got this Knight of Wands. So there's been this elevation, this advancement, as much as from that Ace of Wands energy that we saw in the previous kind of how they were thinking and feeling about you and the connection. So despite their efforts to, shut this down, choosing to move in another direction, they are still very intrigued by you. If this is somebody that you're currently dealing with that just kind of like needed to take the logical approach, there's a lot more clarity that they're getting as far as this is like Ace of Swords energy right here with this Athame. Information they may have gathered, experiences that they've had with you, conversations, interactions that are in some way creating a bit more of a plan of action forward with this Three of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. They're still operating in that kind of like self-protective energy, but as much as they've tried to put the brakes on in this situation to kind of like slow down their feelings, establish those boundaries, nevertheless, this kind of electricity between the two of you, it continues to grow and evolve. It feels that it's taking a lot more effort on their part to hold back. This Knight of Wands is very much it's kind of an impetuous energy. It's very enthusiastic. There's an urge to like rush in. If this is somebody that you were dealing with previously, that you're in a no contact situation with, for example, the time and the distance, that physical separation that they thought in the past would be kind of the remedy, the solution, the quick cutoff, the very blunt cutoff, that choice, and just kind of like redirecting the full focus on whatever else they had established in their life, or just this idea within themselves that in some way you are not a suitable partner because you defy their expectations of what partnership should look like. That has almost, it has not been a solid fortress that has been able to diminish or quiet down this draw that they have towards you. So there's a lot of intrigue. There may be things that are, again, kind of, all this Pentacles energy is indicating that they're starting to not just see kind of like all these unknowns. And if they had seen a lot of unknowns, they weren't content for whatever reason, maybe due to, this kind of electricity, this charge, this draw towards you, this magnetism. They couldn't just not kind of peek behind that curtain. So, the curiosity has peaked in some manner. This kind of Ace of Swords sort of energy here. This is like looking, this is inquiring. This is maybe, receiving downloads or information, a lot of things happening in the dream space, coming out of just kind of this, dead-headed energy. And with this energy here of the Imbolc, this is kind of like the prelude to spring in some way. So there's a bit of this regressed energy because we had like the spring, the Watchtower of the East, and they sort of have backtracked in a certain manner. So this can tie into current person from the past having pulled back their energy, or, you know, just made that kind of like solid declaration to themselves very silently or outwardly to you that it's just not the right time. They need more time. You know, they don't want to rush into things. Just any kind of like breaks that they put on in the situation or boundaries that they've put in place from that position of sort of like pulling themselves back. They are kind of scratching beneath the surface. There's an interest and an intrigue in sort of this element of what if, you know, not just kind of leaving that seed of potential uncracked, but, you know, trying to sort of find a way around this. Things that are coming through, even just, you know, this very kind of current energy, this continuing energy of this draw, this attraction, this passion. It's getting through to them. It's creating some evolution within them, despite their best efforts to kind of like shut this off and turn this off. It's something that, you know, again, there's boundaries in place. They're not at a position of being ready to speak this forth, but on the inside, they're investigating things. They're starting to really question this. They're starting to really take that like egg of potential, that ace of pentacles, that seed of potential, and sort of turn that around, look at it from different angles, explore the possibility of what if, where previously it just felt very black and white. Now they're moving into kind of this gray area. They're coloring outside the lines a little bit as far as their notions about this situation, about, you know, a decision that they had come to that was very finite. Now there's a little more flexibility about that. The mind is starting to wander to, I wonder if this could work. I wonder if this was invested in, if this was kind of like tended, nurtured, re-sparked in some way. What could that grow into? Starting to really allow that mind to wander to the possibility of, you know, that they kind of made a rash decision, they unfairly judged the connection, a wrong choice was made. If they had chosen to sort of remain in a current partnership, it may be something where that has kind of reached a ceiling, that has stagnated. There, it's all that could be experienced and learned and kind of developed in that situation. It's fully formed. It's they know what they're dealing with there, and yet this kind of like Wands energy, this visceral sort of chemistry and draw, it's pulling them beyond that comfort zone. It's you know, showing them kind of this other side of the coin, this other sort of possibility. And interestingly, we do have these two coins right here. So it definitely feels like they're starting to look at things from a different angle, not necessarily at this point of reaching any sort of decision, but their mind is being expanded at this point in time. The possibilities of kind of the workaround in this situation, how these energies, how this connection, how this possibility, how all of these unknowns might in fact work to the advantage of both of you in the situation. That feels to be the focus at this point in time. There may be plans of action, strategies to try and even bridge some kind of gap between the two of you, maybe sort of reestablish some lines of communication, perhaps even just starting in a very sort of mundane sense, you know, keeping things on a surface level in order to kind of dip back in and sort of regain this proximity with you, in order to in a more up close and personal way, be able to sort of investigate. Still with this Pentacles energy, that's a bit of reserve, it's a bit of restraint. There's, you know, a lack in this reading of like Cups energy, emotional energy. They're not ready to open their heart, but there is a curiosity and an exploration. This can talk as well about like silent research that is happening, ways even that their current choices or the material circumstances, even if this is somebody that you're currently dealing with and kind of a decision that was made to not jump more deeply into the situation at this point in time, to move at a slower pace. Nevertheless, there's this establishment of kind of contrast that is happening, where they're starting to be able to really understand on a deeper level the true nature of the choices that they're presented with, to either invest in and explore or re-spark this connection with you, or to continue on in the status quo, kind of with the lack of that. This is feeling like a very dry energy right here, all of these pentacles, and that almost feels that it again is this polarity that they're seeing, that in some way, even if there's a lot of unknown, you add spice, you add variety, you add intrigue. to what is otherwise kind of a very dry or stale, or, just a very predictable, they may have a lot of success going on for them, but there's this lack of zest that is happening, and they're starting to really identify you as, wild card, but in a really good way. Kind of this element of intrigue and adventure that maybe they're at the point of their life with this King of Pentacles, in terms of like their age or where they are at, how they've established themselves, where they feel they've really seen and experienced all they could. All the mystery is gone. They've forged a path. They're very entrenched in a life. And then here you come. Here this connection comes that is sort of like beckoning them for a new adventure, a change of pace, something very unexpected. So definitely still in that energy of boundaries, but like internally, rather than just kind of looking at the situation very linearly, they are starting to kind of look in between the lines, in between what has been the decision. Again, not at the point necessarily of ready to discuss this with you, make any kind of like change in terms of this is very much like status quo energy, so maintaining in a 3D sense in the outside, their approach, they're very convinced that for the time being, this is the right conduct in this situation, but internally, that passion has only increased. There's something that has flared up, there's something that's awakening, there's truth that is really being shown to them even about sort of the nature of these boundaries, maybe a lot of fears that cause them to sort of blockade this situation, close off their heart. So they're looking around and examining all of that, and rather than just being able to successfully move on or keep these boundaries very much entrenched, it's almost like there's an expansion of these. They're kind of like moving beyond the boundaries, but from the inside out. So I'm going to get a few messages from their higher self and see what does this person want to tell you right now. Okay, they say, I have options, but I only want you. So that ties into that element of choice that was made in the past. Maybe not invest in the connection, not make a solid commitment, or choosing to move in another direction. They are, in a way, sort of like widening their perception of things. Was that the right choice to make? Feeling in a way kind of dissatisfied with that choice, that they've limited in some manner. The exploration, the savoring, the experiencing of, the very unexpected and yet very electric possibility that this situation, having encountered you, the two of you exchanging energy on whatever level you have up to this point in time and continue to do, whether you're currently dealing with them or that you are in separation from them. It's something where they're almost feeling that they've cheated themselves in a way out of, again, this idea of like an adventure. So maybe something that is very triggering for them, that could have triggered sort of like wounds of rejection, inner child wounds, just anything that they've been very fixed in, stuck in as far as belief systems, or kind of just limited sort of patterns for themselves, that the unexpected nature of this threw them for a loop. And it's something where they're starting to really second guess the choice that was made of their approach to this situation currently, or what they kind of did in the past. And they also say, I'm speaking through songs. So there might be a lot of significant lyrics that are coming through. This is really tying into the idea of, a lot happening in that internal landscape. As much as on the 3D surface level, it's business as usual. They're taking a very stoic, very material, very mundane approach. Not giving any indicators, most likely, that they are in any way kind of displeased with whatever the structure is that they've sort of contributed to or set in place in this situation. This is talking about kind of a different frequency, a different sort of harmonizing that is happening within them, very internally, kind of behind those closed doors in that internal realm and that private space within. They're really searching, they're seeking, they're expanding in some manner. What may have been very triggering and cause them to recoil from the situation, they're starting to create some kind of balance, some kind of harmony with that inside themselves. And they also say, I've been more focused on money because I'm trying to build for myself. So again, that confirmation of very focused on the surface level, on the mundane, on what is known, what is familiar, what is established for themselves. It feels like the kind of the potential risk in the past, and even to a certain degree presently, it is too unknown to where, the possibility of reward on the other side of taking a leap of faith in the direction of opening up to more in the situation or resurfacing in your life at this point in time, it just feels like too much of a risk. So they're feeling presently very comfortable in behind whatever boundaries have been established, behind whatever walls have been put in place or prohibitions. And it's sort of like peeking out from behind those fortress walls, but not yet at the place within themselves, or maybe even within their life. If there are like literally other circumstances, like other connections in place, if there's a geographic distance, something that they're working toward, something that they may have, felt that the connection would be a distraction from, if this is like a course of study that they are embarking on or something they're trying to build within their career, that still is kind of in the rough stages. It's still needing to be formed and completed. But it's, they're starting to kind of like look beyond that very linear path to say, on the other side of that, what could possibly develop between us in the future. And they also say, I love you. So for some of you, this may be as extreme as I love you. And for others of you where this is, a newer connection, this is kind of like an attraction, a chemistry, a draw, a magnetism that is next level. It's making them question their ideas of love and partnership, what they've known, what they've experienced, what they've been calling into their life up to this point in time. Someone who may be very afraid of commitment or very afraid of heartbreak, who, has settled for kind of lower vibrational or just very sort of like surface level connections. And something about this energy in this situation and the potential between the two of you, what was experienced in the past, what is still continuing in the present moment, it causes this curiosity. It causes this kind of like growth potential, which may be something they're not used to. And so it almost feels like they're regressing, back into that energy of the safety of the comfort zone, something that's less challenging, something that just fits into their stereotypes or accepts them for who they are. But behind that facade, behind that mask, there's definitely a curiosity, like, is this love? What are these feelings? What is the nature of what I've been participating in up to this point in time, or what I've known and believed about romance, love, and partnerships? So from that place of questioning, it feels like potentially a bridge at some point in time may be built to taking a risk towards you, or, kind of like further expanding or redefining the limits that they have put upon their feelings and kind of how they're thinking about you in the connection. So I'm going to get a little bit of guidance from Spirit for you about that situation. Okay, we have celebration. A positive outcome is assured. Celebrate your success. Enjoy your achievements. So this is really indicating that kind of this period behind the closed walls, the very vibrant and alive energy that flows between the two of you, despite the brakes that have been put on in this situation. That, the status quo, the way things are right now, it's not like this person has disconnected and moved on completely, or, that they are just completely satisfied with whatever, again, that limitation is that has been put upon this situation, that there is the energy of growth and evolution that is possible. So not putting your life on hold, not taking personally this person's inability to dive into this situation. They could be dealing with a lot of sort of unhealed wounds. If it's obvious obstacles and barriers like other entanglements or situations in the material world, there is an energy here that is really talking about these things. This person kind of from behind those closed doors, they're looking around at wiggle room, how to kind of move beyond these things. They're starting to entertain the possibility of what if. The doors are opening even more to a different kind of future that is alternate to whatever that ultimatum was that they had given you previously, or whatever the stance was that had been taken to this situation previously. So, continuing to move forward, valuing yourself, loving yourself, knowing your worth, operating in the stance of, if somebody can't recognize and see and value and act upon and move toward the gift that you are, it's their loss. There'll be somebody else in the future that comes along and is able to celebrate the unique nature of the life light that you hold inside, the energy that you are, the love that you have to give, what you're looking for in partnership and commitment. So it's kind of like a double message here from Spirit. Keep moving forward, keep forging on, keep pressing forward, but never say never in this circumstance. This person may surprise you. They may return to you or kind of emerge once they've gathered more information and sort of have a plan of action as far as, having examined all of these what ifs and the possibilities and, trying to look at things from a very mundane stance, but at the same time being very connected in an energetic way to you. Those feelings building, this sort of barricade is not sufficient to sort of stuff down or suppress or extinguish whatever has been activated within them for you. So the situation as it exists right now, it feels that it is already, from the stance of then to now, it has already evolved in some level internally within themselves. So Spirit is really just encouraging you to, keep that possibility open in your mind, that this individual will continue to explore and grow and develop. And even as things exist in this current moment, there's an energy of growth here. And at some point in time, this sort of curiosity, this passion, this draw may get to be too much to contain. They will no longer feel that they can kind of hold that in. And so for some of you, that can result in a change of action, reaching out, taking the next steps. If it's someone you're currently dealing with, again, whatever state that connection is at this point in time, that's not kind of like the end of the story, that it may be sort of a period of stagnation at this point in time, but it's, this individual is very proactively kind of like looking at the situation from all angles. It's not just, this is all I want to experience, period, end of story. That might look like it from the surface, but internally there's a lot of other things that are taking place. They're really kind of weighing the pros and cons of the situation, and it is from that element of sort of feeding that comfort zone within themselves that they are then able to make that choice to step beyond that. So celebrate yourself, celebrate the beautiful energy that you are, and really just remember that you are a gift to any situation. The love you hold inside that you have to give and are open to receive, that is a blessing. Continuing to operate in that high vibration can encourage, whether it's this person or somebody else further down the road, to see that, to recognize that, to answer that call, to be drawn in and magnetized towards you, sort of hone in on that beacon that you are emitting and respond to that in kind. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got D, I, L, J, N, A, H, V, and W. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Apatite. So I'm going to start by looking into the energies of then. How did this person feel about you when you were last dealing with them? If this is someone you're in no contact with, kind of the last memories that they have of you or the last sort of feelings that they had of you, or if this is somebody that you're currently dealing with, you're currently in a connection with, this can talk about kind of those initial sort of feelings about you when they first met you, when the relationship first started. So what does that look like? The feelings of then. Okay, so we've got the Two of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Death, which is Scorpio. Nine of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Six of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Magic Circle, protection. And Broomstick, clearance. So there's an energy of intimidation with how this person was feeling about you in the past or when they first met you. They saw you as somebody who really knows themselves, knew themselves, that you had a lot of balance, a lot of discernment. You were quick to cut people off or cut energies out of your life that in some way were combative, were toxic, were negative, something to where your energy, or almost the way you were living your life, you may have been very inaccessible. It really required an element of elevation and balance, truth and clarity in order to be able to kind of gain access to you, gain access to your energy, a sense of almost that it's a privilege to be in your energy. And rather though, instead of being very kind of like ego driven or very haughty about this, they see you or saw you as somebody very down to earth, very humble, very relatable, a very grounded individual, but somebody who definitely knows their worth, a no-nonsense kind of person, that you were not afraid to kind of like march to the beat of your own drum, not afraid to stand alone if you were unable to find company that was able to reciprocate with you in a healthy and balanced and honest manner. It's something that really required of this person kind of moving away or sort of breaking away from previous tactics or tendencies that they may have had in order to kind of participate with somebody on a romantic level. If this is somebody that you were dealing with in the past, so it's like a no contact situation, again, somebody from your past, this almost like the standard of what was expected of them, this element of consistency, being very transparent, being very honest, this could have been deeply confrontational for them. It required them to address a lot of wounding and shadows within themselves, boundaries that you may have put up, or just something that kind of expressed itself energetically speaking could have been very triggering for this person and kind of like highlighted areas of untruth or, kind of like this duplicity or deception sort of energy. They could have always felt on edge or on guard about sort of like elements within themselves that they were hiding away, kind of their dark side, not wanting you to see that, feeling almost it being exacerbated, very ashamed of kind of conduct of how they've moved through connections in the past. How their intentions might have been initially upon approaching you, but something that you could have really set the bar very high, or or established it perhaps even in a very unknowing kind of way, that you saw through these masks or these illusions, things you may have talked about, stories you may have related, about your personal experience, your personal journey, that almost kind of made this person very self-conscious. So that could have been one of the reasons that they sort of like ran from the situation or detached, was out of fear of being discovered or found out, for kind of this like shadowy energy that they themselves may have still been harboring, kind of intentions moving towards you initially that may have been a little bit more low vibrational, a little more self-serving in some manner. This can also be something where they see you or saw you as somebody very intense, that to interact with you, to be a part of your life, meant inevitable transformation, that your personal journey or your willingness to, sort of evaluate and be very honest about the energies you're involving yourself in, the things that you have in your life, it's almost contagious to the lives of others that are around you. Someone who's very selective, may have a very small circle, is again very discerning, and that to be in your company required other people, not as sort of a means of being worthy to be in your presence and in your company, but just for like who you are and what you sort of emit, that it's a very transformational energy. People's lives are changed, for better or worse, interacting with you. Those who choose to not run from these kind of shadows that are mirrored in some way, that there's a lot of evolution, there's a lot of kind of like inner child healing, there's a lot of growth and ascension that's possible. But for other people, it can be just such an intense and triggering experience that they kind of walk away from having known you or interacted with you with a sense of kind of negativity, sinking even deeper into those shadows, retreating into that energy of fear. This may be something that this person was able to kind of observe about other dynamics, what other people had said about you, just, kind of like what they were able to perceive about you, things you may have really talked about in your life story and your life journey, that in the past they saw that this would not, even if it's kind of like on friendship levels, that people are just transformed. You encourage other people to kind of step beyond a certain version of themselves into something more. That could have been very fascinating to this individual in the past, but then again, very triggering. That could have caused them to detach from you. If this is somebody you're currently dealing with, again, it's like an intimidation factor, like they're drawn towards you, but at the same time, there's almost this energy of being very afraid of kind of what's required of them as far as like change in their own life, just as a byproduct of interacting and exchanging energy with you. So a lot of intensity that kind of just floods over into this individual is kind of how they were feeling about you in the past. Also this idea of like protection, and in this Nine of Wands, which is normally the card of the wounded warrior, but then we've got all of these like spirit guides and ancestors behind this individual that, in the past they recognized you as somebody who not only was protective of your own energy, but they saw you as having a lot of spiritual backing, almost a sense of knowing that they needed to come correct, that to cross you, to kind of undermine, to be very sneaky or deceptive or duplicitous, that there would be like spiritual consequences for that, that you were very loved, very protected by your ancestors, by your spirit guides, by angels, somebody who is here to, kind of almost like have this big work, this big mission to awaken the collective conscience, to kind of like transform, like you are a force of transformation within yourself, and very kind of almost mission driven in a way, even if it's something you don't really focus on. It's just something about your energy, to where as much as there may be sort of like teaching tools or lessons that need to be learned, there was a sense here of, this person understanding that they needed to approach you with respect, or that there would be consequences to that. Nothing that you would need to necessarily do, but just this kind of like layer of spiritual protection is not going to tolerate nonsense. Seeing you as somebody very psychic, very intuitive, very tapped in as well, to where nothing gets by you in a level. The signs are there. You're very aware of these things. They may see you had seen you as a very spiritual person. Again, it's very intimidating, the sense that sneakiness, deception, or toxicity that may just kind of, they may have been able to kind of fly under the radar in other circumstances and situations, that's not something that was the case in this circumstance. And on some level, it's like this woundedness within them, this like desire to heal, it feels like one of the major sort of factors that drew them to you. Not just kind of like romantic feelings and a sense of wanting to like develop a connection, but something like within the wounded part of them that knew it might be difficult, the change might be difficult, it might be required to face some difficulties within themselves, but that growth and evolution and kind of finding spiritual strength and the will and the drive and the ability to overcome, challenges that they may have even been harboring very deeply inside, that was possible through kind of entering into a connection with you in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to take a look at the energies of now. How have this person's feelings or impressions or thoughts about you in the connection changed? Okay, so we've got the Eight of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Ten of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. King of Wands, so more fire energy. The Empress, which is Taurus and Libra. Lord God, masculine. And Witch, healer. So this Ten of Swords is tying in for me with this idea of that element that was coming through of like a sense that they may have had that to cross you in some manner, to be sneaky, duplicitous, deceptive, to kind of like direct negativity or to try to create chaos or to bring the energy of chaos to you or to try to like dump that upon you would have some kind of consequence to that. Either you would get some kind of indication, you'd be clued in that it was time to sort of put up barriers or boundaries or disconnect from the situation, or there'd be almost like a spiritual ripple effect, ramifications. Anything that they directed towards you that was not of love and light would be returned to them threefold, or even tenfold with these 10 swords right here. It feels that for a lot of you, some of them found out the hard way, basically, the truth of that it's kind of like come correct or don't come at all is the energy of that. It feels to almost be something that has increased their level of respect and also fear of you on some level, to where, change is possible, growth and development is possible, but it's something to where almost like to link up with you or to participate more deeply in this connection or to resurface, to come in closer with you, it's going to require their willingness to transmute a lot of these shadowy energies. That to keep coming in kind of that lower vibration is going to result in more of that kind of energy of affliction on some level. It feels like they, again, it's this deep fascination. It's wanting to have what you have, to cultivate what you have cultivated for yourself. But in some manner, there's been like a humbling kind of energy where they may at this point in time be very much kind of in awe of you and respecting you, but very fearful. They're seeing you as somebody with this idea of like Lord God, masculine. You're very action oriented. You mean business. You're very proactive, very kind of committed maybe to a path of healing, to keeping your circle sort of filled with positive and conducive energies. You're not going to tolerate nonsense. This again ties into and you're quick to cut somebody or something off if there's even the suspicion of kind of duplicity or nefariousness or just funny business going on. If something feels off, you'll put those walls up. You'll create those boundaries. You will deny access. You know, the gate code will change as far as like who is allowed into that inner sanctum, who is allowed to exchange energy. They see you as somebody who respects yourself. You are the embodiment of self-love, because again, it's not coming from a cruel place. It's coming from a place of being very business oriented, that you have almost like bigger fish to fry or something very important, that keeping your energy balanced and healthy and, you know, trying to keep influences in your life and your environment and the people that you're dealing with kind of in as much of a vibrational alignment as possible, that in some way it fits into kind of a larger purpose that you have in this lifetime, or other goals you're trying to build. Like, you've come to the point in your spiritual awareness to where, you know, you factor in things as far as energy. You've surpassed the point of you know, second guessing yourself in a lot of ways. You're highly tuned in, you're tapped in, you get messages from the divine. You get these kind of clues and indicators of sort of what lies in the heart of people that you're dealing with, and that you're very trusting in that. You know, your energy, your connection with spirit and with your spirit guides and with source, it's rock solid. It's something that can't be compromised, and it's also something which must be respected and taken into account for people who want to kind of exchange energy with you or be in proximity to you. This idea of witch and healer, it ties into kind of this equal sort of element of kind of like fear and respect that they have, that there's a lot of mystery behind you. They kind of fear or are a little bit sort of uneasy about this relationship, this protectiveness that the divine has for you, this relationship that you have with your intuition, with energy, with source, and kind of the way in which you are navigating almost according to these unseen cues from the divine. It's something that's very out of the ordinary from other people that they've known. Even if they know other people in the spiritual community, you know, they know other people that are like psychic or intuitive, there's just something about you which is very unique. You know, they see you as somebody who really walks your talk in a lot of ways. And there is this intrigue, but at the same time, a level of respect that is required. They feel that they have a lot to learn from you, but at the same time, there's a lot that almost must be sort of cut away from within themselves in order to kind of take full advantage of that, to reap the most rewards and benefits from that. So although this is a love-related reading, it definitely feels that you know, this individual, whether it's somebody from the past or somebody you're currently dealing with, it's almost like this spiritual component in some way trumps these romantic feelings at this point in time. It's this added element about you that makes you very different from people that they have dealt with previously. And again, it feels like there's been some kind of a humbling. They almost tried or tested you or crossed some kind of a boundary, even just an intention that they had within, maybe, that's sort of like source or the divine or spirit sort of like knew, and there were repercussions for that in some way, or that you were clued in and sort of your approach to the situation changed. Maybe you detached, maybe you set up boundaries. You know, it's just almost like your energy and presence sort of speaks for itself. They've not known someone who commands this level of kind of authority and respect, but in a very humble manner. They see you as somebody who has very good intentions, that this element of like divine connection, it hasn't gone to your head in some way, but that it's like you really do have this genuine interest to kind of make the world around you a better place, to heal and help people to evolve and to you know, step more into their power or their purpose. But with that comes almost it's this whole other kind of like entourage of what people that come into that inner circle then need to deal with. It's not just you, it's your spirit team. It's source, it's your relationship with the divine. So they see you as somebody who's very rare, very exceptional. They may feel very, again, kind of like humbled at this point in time, or it's given them kind of like pause to sort of go in and reflect already with whatever this is that's happened in the current energy of now. There already is this teaching that is taking place. There's already healing that's taking place. They've just run into the mirror of whatever shadowy sort of energy or low vibrational energy that they were in some way consciously or unconsciously projecting at you, or were leading toward this situation with, so that, you know, already just having touched upon your energy very immediately, however brief or long that was. There's a process of alchemy which is taking place within them. So it definitely, there's a fascination, there's a lot of mystery that you represent, and at this point in time, at least, that spiritual component, that's kind of very dominant in this person's feelings. It's almost like romance is secondary at this point in time to this other element of sort of growth and evolution and ascension that you represent, that you are, and that you really spark and awaken within them. So I'm going to get a few messages from their higher self and see, what does this person want you to know at this time? Okay, and they say, I'm protecting this connection. So this is definitely tying into this element of a very rare quality. You are not like the average person. You are unlike anyone that they have met before. Even if this is someone you're in a no contact situation with, it feels like they're not discussing this kind of otherness about you, this spiritual component. It almost feels like something where they're wanting to get on board with this very sort of like spiritually protected team that you have, rather than kind of being an oppositional force. They're wanting to work with you. They're wanting to co-create with you. It almost feels as well that if this is someone you're in a no contact with, because of this energy of sort of like the humbling that has taken place, the growth and development they know is possible before they can kind of like reintroduce themselves or be, kind of matching your vibration in some manner, that it feels like they're kind of deliberately holding themselves back because they know that there's a lot of kind of like toxicity or negativity that's been highlighted within them that needs to be cleared and needs to be released in order to present you as something that even just instinctually you're going to resonate with. So this is somebody who's very self-aware, is very much like looking at you with kind of a little bit of sort of awe and a bit of sort of like fear or uncertainty, but they are also turning that lens within and seeing kind of like what can they learn, or what do they need to kind of like improve upon, or how have those current circumstances, even that element of fear, what is that trying to teach them? They also say, I've been having dreams of you. So definitely this kind of like otherworldly aspect to this connection. Especially if this is somebody you're in a no contact situation with, there's still a lot of contact happening on the 5D level. It may be, just instinctually you needed to kind of put up some barriers. This might have been something that, they kind of ran from the connection, and yet they're still very much tapped in. They're tuning in, energetically speaking. This is like somebody who's just kind of like watching from the distance, watching from the bushes, very kind of like fixated and curious, and trying to sort of unravel the mystery of who you are and what this dynamic is, what is possible. It's also tying into a lot of psychic gifts that have been activated within them through kind of like coming into proximity with you. So prophetic dreams, a lot of signs and synchronicities that may be happening that are all kind of like pointing back to something about you, back to this connection, whether this is, again, something from the past or somebody you're currently dealing with. Also, current people are having dreams of you, and it's just the interaction goes far beyond whatever is happening on the face-to-face level. That kind of dialogue, that sort of energetic exchange, it happens after hours, it happens in the dream space, it happens throughout the day, it just, it happens in all kinds of ways. This is definitely something where they're seeing this as you in this situation are very unlike what they have known and experienced before. And they also say, you have really been by my side. I see that. I do cherish you for that. So this can really tie into some of that negativity that this person, past or present, may have directed towards you. It could have had to do with things that were being activated within them, that they almost were a little bit uncertain, like, what are you doing to them? Are you messing around in their energy? Are you, playing around in their energy? Are you sending them any kind of weird energies because of these like dreams and synchronicities and almost like all these activations that were taking place and all these changes? It could have caused them to really send something out towards you, like bad vibes, negative vibes, a lot of just like low vibrational energy. And it feels that they in some way had been like humbled or proven wrong about that. Maybe they've gotten something through a prophetic dream that is like showing them they misinterpreted you in this situation. And it feels like it's so outside of the box in some manner that this was kind of just that first instinct, was to feel very attacked by this situation, maybe very triggered by what you were showing them as far as, kind of things they needed to change within themselves in order to be able to continue to still be in your energy, to still participate in this kind of connection in some manner. But it's something that they really have kind of like turned a corner with that. They're wanting to be on your side. They're wanting to be on your team. They're almost feeling that it's better to stand in the light with you rather than kind of be on the outskirts, like outside of the gates, in the shadow of this connection. They also say, I've been feeling your presence around me. So that ties into kind of these otherworldly qualities of what's going on here. A lot of dreams, a lot of signs, a lot of synchronicities. Definitely something that it feels like was very unexpected, even if this is somebody who is part of the spiritual community, who has some working knowledge of that. In practical application, what they're experiencing with you as far as like an energetic connection, a soul connection, experiencing energy, feeling the vibration all around. This is next level in some way. It may have really evoked a lot of fears within them in the past, but it's something where it feels like they're starting to kind of be more observant, trying to be less fearful in that regard, and sort of find a way beyond this, work on those blocks within themselves. Definitely somebody past or present who wants to know more. They want to return, they want to move in closer, but they're kind of in the energy of sort of like fear and respect and awe at this point in time, kind of like grappling with the transformation that's necessary within them in order to be able to provide you or present you or project to you a vibration that is a like frequency to what you have going on. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit. Okay, we have prosperity. A gift of money is on its way. Your income is increasing. Manage your finances with love. Sorry about the sun reflecting all over me and all over these cards right now. It's just kind of the hour of the day, right at sunset here. This is really tying into even just that reference to kind of the light sort of changing. Spirit really indicating to you that this person's position, their stance, their approach to this situation, they're starting to take a different kind of perspective about things. If they were coming to you with a lot of toxicity or low vibrations or kind of wishy-washy, a lot of fear-based energy, Spirit is working behind the scenes to really kind of move them into the energy of abundance, causing them to, be able to sort of reemerge, or encouraging them to work on healing this energy of lack within themselves, or whatever that kind of density was that caused kind of the disharmony in the situation in the past. So, in the meantime, kind of focus on the possibilities of change in this situation. Continue to just honor and appreciate the vibration that you hold. Definitely if you're somebody who, this is your story, this is your pile here. It can be, you might be very used to this, people that are very triggered by you, people that are very, intrigued, but then at the same time kind of like run from the situation. Spirit encouraging you to value this energy within yourself. You're a force of transformation. You're here on this plane at this time for a larger purpose for a lot of you. There's definitely a lot of spiritual energies, awakening energies here. So, really kind of like focusing on that, focusing on, your goals, your light work, your mission, your healing, your purpose, your truth, and allowing yourself to, receive kind of those who are willing to do the work and sort of stand with you to move closer towards your light by first and foremost capitalizing on and enhancing the light within themselves, mastering their own kind of shadows in order to kind of reap the full rewards of what an interaction with you, energetically speaking, can provide. So it definitely feels like a sort of a change change in fortunes here, that even if this person is kind of watching from the bushes, they're a little bit sort of freaked out or scared, or just a little bit curious about kind of the nature, what to make of this whole situation. This is something that, you know, it's leaning into the energy of illumination, that there's change that's possible in this situation, beautiful change, and they may surprise you with kind of the different sort of approach that they present moving forward, or if this is somebody who would need to kind of reemerge from the past, what it is they provide to you as far as solid potential rather than very fear-based energies. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, so we have S, I, L, K, M, G, O, and F. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the orange selenite. So I'm going to start with the energies of then. How is this person, whether it's somebody from your past, maybe that you're in no contact with, or somebody that you're currently dealing with, how did they feel when you were last dealing with them, when they last saw you, spoke to you, or maybe even when they first met you? Okay, so we have the Six of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Four of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Lovers, which is Gemini. Three of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Samhain, death. And altar, dedication. So there's an energy here with these two figures that just kind of like, they're sort of slumped over at their desk. They look very bored. They're just kind of going through the routine. Everything is very mundane. It's just predictable and ordinary. And then all of a sudden there's this motorcycle with a sidecar, adventure, new possibilities opening up. It feels like this person definitely saw you in the past when they first met you, when they were last dealing with you, as a breath of fresh air in some manner, that you changed or shook up in a way that may have been very jarring or unexpected, some kind of like routine, some kind of path that they had carved out for themselves, ideas as far as love and partnership. This death energy, this Samhain energy, this definitely calls to mind like the end of an era in some manner. And with this Lovers, it's tying into almost this idea of the kind of connection, the kind of person that they had maybe at one point in time always wished for, prayed for, thought, somebody like this doesn't exist. I'm never going to find somebody like this. They may have searched very exhaustively and had just kind of resigned themselves maybe to, never meeting the one, never having this kind of like next level, very passionate connection with somebody, kind of like best friends and lovers sort of energy, that they had resigned themselves to. It needs to just be either or. Maybe a lot of kind of like, near connections, but then things that just kind of like fizzled out or faded. If this was somebody who was, in some kind of a partnership, they may have just really settled into that because it was known, it was predictable, it kept them from being alone. It was just kind of a warm body next to them in some manner, nothing that was very challenging, nothing that really, sparked their curiosity or encouraged them to sort of like change and grow and reach for the better or best version of themselves, but something where they had almost just kind of settled into the doldrums of their life. And all of a sudden you emerge, they encounter you, your worlds collide, and it changes everything. It's something that really, with this idea of like altar and dedication, and also the energies of death and rebirth that are encompassed in this Samhain and death energy right here, this is really tying into, shaking their whole world up, shaking their whole foundation up, whether that, had to do with a partnership they were in, or even just their belief systems about maybe what was fated for them in this life, what had passed them by. This could be somebody who felt themselves to be just very unlucky in love, that they had almost given up on the dream of kind of a magical connection, and all of a sudden, here comes this breath of fresh air that just really opens their mind to possibilities again. It feels like you brought this person back to life, and there could have been a level of excitement and curiosity and wanting to kind of like step forth into the adventure of what the connection could really hold. Might have been definitely like an opposites attract kind of energy though, where they may have almost felt themselves to be very boring, kind of questioned what they could possibly add to the measure of your existence. You almost felt kind of like a star on the horizon, very out of touch, very out of reach in some manner. Even if you're, interacting directly with one another, there was some kind of just like something that was triggered, like a lack mentality within this person, where they were really just questioning, if they had what it takes to sort of like roll with these energies of transformation. If this was a dream that was sustainable, or if this is almost just, it's kind of bringing to mind a feeling of like, is the universe just taunting me here by kind of like dangling this carrot, presenting this, whole other possibility, this whole other future, this revival of dreams that had long gone dormant or had been just kind of shelved away, to where there was an enthusiasm to build, to grow, to manifest these energies, this connection into something else. But it feels like they almost got sidetracked or just kind of like held themselves back from diving more deeply or continuing with the energies of what was developing between you, because it really served to highlight within them kind of ways in which they had settled in their life, ways in which they were stuck. It doesn't feel to be something, even if this is somebody that was totally single, it almost feels like there were barricades within themselves, kind of these walls that they'd set up within themselves that made them sort of feel less than worthy, less than deserving, feeling very challenged, but at the same time kind of hopeless in a way, as far as in the long term, are they someone that would, keep your interest? Are they somebody that could keep up with you? Maybe you're a very kind of vibrant light. You're a very optimistic person. This individual may have settled into a degree of like pessimism, been a little bit jaded about life and love. And so it feels like something where, again, there was this challenge, this energy of like awakening, a sense of kind of like this unexpected opportunity to like come forth into a different sort of future, to reimagine the life they'd been living, or possibilities that had closed out for them, or that they felt had just kind of passed them by on some level. something that felt very kind of like off in the distance, something where they may have just kind of been very enthusiastic, but in a way sort of dismissed this or dismissed you or the connection as kind of wishful thinking. So if this is somebody that you're dealing with currently, this can really tie into the energy of like hot and cold, where they get really sort of juiced when they're with you. They get very enthusiastic. Their vibration's really high, but then in the times where you're away from one another, it's very difficult for this individual to sustain that on their own. So, a lot of kind of like second guessing that may have been going on as far as, do they have the capacity within themselves, the bandwidth within themselves to really rise up to this level that energetically, or that the connection itself was really inviting them to be on? Or is this something that, maybe they don't have the stamina for it and it's just going to fizzle and fade? So something that may have been very triggering, where they almost just, in a way, sort of felt that inevitably they'd be left behind at some point, that, you'd open your eyes and see them for who they truly are: boring, limited, very dry. Maybe this is somebody older, like too old, not exciting, just, kind of plain or predictable in some manner. It feels to be somebody that's established a degree of stability for themselves as well. They know who they are for the most part. They may have established some kind of routine, some kind of life for themselves. They offer a lot of stability. They come with a lot of sort of the creature comforts of traditional, views of sort of success in the material world. But there's an energy here of like, do any of these things matter on this next plane of existence, of kind of like this spark, this rejuvenation, this energy of like awakening and enlivenment within, that there's a questioning that's kind of out of their comfort zone in some manner. And so in the past, it may have been, where they were very enthusiastic and almost wanted to like rush towards you, or, lean into this, or just kind of flow with this dream off into new horizons. But reality kicking in, or really more of like a lack within themselves of, just areas within that need to be kind of like discontinued or departed from, like a choice of kind of like, are you going to let this opportunity pass you by, or are you going to step forth into that energy of transformation and see what might develop? So I'm going to take a look at now what, if anything, has changed as far as their thoughts and feelings about you and the situation. Okay, so we have Page of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Three of Pentacles, which is more Earth energy. Queen of Pentacles, so Earth energy again. Ten of Wands, fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Wiccan Reed, ethos. And Lord God, masculine. So this definitely feels like somebody who now in this energy, if they had just thought of you as kind of like all that glitters maybe isn't gold, or just like this wishful thinking, or you presented these new possibilities, this new horizon, maybe like an enlivenment, a reactivation of possibility and potential, an alternate future for themselves than what they had envisioned for themselves. There's a lot more that they have invested into allowing themselves to dream, even from that energy of kind of the stale and the stagnant and the hopeless. You have captivated their interest in some manner, to where at this point in time, with this idea of like the Wiccan Reed here and this writing, they may be in the process of kind of trying to lay out a game plan, create some kind of strategy. This is a proactive energy, also that masculine energy, where they were very passive before. They're very much active activating themselves. They're leaning into this active energy that, if this is kind of a fleeting dream on the horizon, what do they need to do to kind of pick themselves up out of this malaise and run or reach or do what they need to do in order to join you on that ship that is sailing off into whatever the future may be between the two of you. So this definitely feels to be somebody who, with this Three of Pentacles, they've tried to, even if they haven't necessarily identified kind of a lack within themselves, they're trying to kind of like build their self-esteem in some manner. They're trying to look at possibilities and potentials rather than setbacks. They're trying to be very proactive and creative as far as coming up with a plan of action, something to discuss with you, wanting to, step into this kind of courageous energy. Maybe this is aspects about themselves that they weren't necessarily proud of, that they have been working on to clear, to transcend, to move beyond, so that what they have to offer to you is something worthwhile. This can be where they're also trying to improve skill sets, knowledge, build something about themselves so that they will feel interesting. They will feel in this kind of like higher vibration within themselves. They'll be able to kind of like match you in that stamina, bring something with them into, the future of this situation. With the Ten of Wands though, you do still feel very far off on the horizon for them. And that is kind of, there's a lot of this fear of kind of missing out in this circumstance, but it feels to be something which is a motivational factor for them, rather than kind of just like sitting and watching you pass them by on some level. There's been like a shakeup, something that has been awakened within them, a catalyzing force, which is causing them to really start to get serious. Something that, in the past, this may have caused them to not take action. If it's someone you're currently dealing with, they were just sort of letting circumstances happen. This may be something where they almost have gotten these cues or these triggers that if they don't act, if they don't do something, then they'll never know. Then they really will miss that chance. Then it really will turn into nothing because they've done nothing. And so with this Pentacles energy, this is like real world energy, Page to Queen. That's talking about building, growing, developing, looking outside of the box of just, kind of worst case scenarios or like a defeatist attitude in some manner. If this is somebody you were dealing with in the past, it feels like the distance has really been a very educational experience for them. Time has served this situation well, to where the longer time has gone by, it's become this burden, almost like what had passed them by, what they hadn't appreciated, what they had let this kind of like lack of self-esteem thwart in the past. This might have been someone who even self-sabotaged the connection because of a perception within themselves that ultimately at the end of the day, if you two, entered into more of a deep connection or in the long-term sense, they wouldn't be able to match up to what you wanted anyway. It feels like for a lot of you, this person in that silence, in that separation has turned the corner to like, but what if I can live up to that standard? What if I can cultivate and build within myself that place of readiness, things within me that I'm proud of, things within my life that have true meaning and value, and then to be able to return and to reemerge with something solid and stable to offer, something that contributes to the vibration, contributes to the connection, contributes to building together rather than just being kind of like dragged along by the situation. So it does feel like, they're on the other side of the coin right now. Someone from the past, present person who was very passive, they're in building mode, they're in planning mode, they're in strategizing mode. They may even be in a position for some of you of understanding that like vulnerability and talking these things out, maybe even expressing these fears, expressing these insecurities, telling you and letting you know how deeply they appreciate you, value you, admire this situation, want to do what it takes to continue to be a part of your life or to be a part of your life in a more pronounced and deep manner, or to return or resurface from the past to try and work through the difficulties addressing some of these fears. That's kind of like this crucial step that may be very frightening for them. It's going out on a limb in some manner. but it almost feels like they're trying to work around that. They're trying to like create a strategy of how to convey all of this, how to, allow themselves to just really open up, because what do they have to lose in this situation? This is someone who's leaning into more of an empowered energy, more of an energy of confidence, wanting to build and create and grow into a version of themselves that they see as like an adequate match, a counterpart for you. So this feels to be something that, whether they know it consciously or not, this situation and like this fear of missing out in some way is very motivational for them. For a lot of you, they're very it's like this unconscious cue or trigger within them of like something has to change. Maybe this is, cleaning up their life, working on their fitness, on their health, on their pentacles, on their money, on their finances, on their stability, on their self-esteem, working to kind of disconnect from that energy of lack. Maybe even, if this is a situation that passed them by, if they haven't acted up to this point in time or it's self-sabotaged, they may have really had some kind of like a wake-up call that this could be a pattern for them. They're starting to really do that internal work to build themselves up to a place that, not just in terms of this connection, but in general, they're able to like stand in their truth, speak their truth, take calculated risks in the interest of the unknown toward, things that really kind of invigorate them, rather than just kind of like settling for the stale and the stagnant and the predictable and the known. So definitely this is a constructive energy here rather than lack. This is someone who now is looking at you in the connection from the energy of possibilities. What needs to be grown and developed within themselves, a bit of still not feeling exactly on the same page as you, like they're the page, you're the queen, so there's some work that needs to be done, but this feels like someone who's starting to really get down and do the work. They're starting to do that shadow work. They're starting to make tangible improvements, measurable advancements in their life. They aren't just sitting in the passive energy of like, oh, wouldn't that be nice? It's too bad. What if? They're creating some kind of plan of action. They're taking the lead in their own life. Consciously or unconsciously, with sort of, so they don't get left behind in the interest of kind of like keeping up with you, to sustain with you, to continue to grow and evolve with you in the situation if you're currently dealing with one another, or so they can come to a place of confidence and preparedness within themselves to be able to kind of like reach out, resurface, re-spark the connection in some way, put down the burdens of where they fell short or failed to really kind of meet you on your level in the past, anything that had happened as far as self-sabotage or even inaction, letting you just pass them by. This is someone who, is in the energy of trying to become better so that they can do better in this situation moving forward. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self now and see what do they want to tell you. Okay, and they say, even though we're not together, I just can't see myself letting you go. So they are very motivated to do what they need to do in order to continue to move forward with you into the future. Or if this is somebody that you are in no contact with, they are determined to pick themselves up out of whatever the pity party looks like, whatever had gone awry in the connection in the past. This is the energy of wanting to try again, wanting to present something to you so that possibly, hopefully, maybe you could reconstruct the connection, repair the damage that was done, and lay a different and more solid foundation with one another going forward. They also say, I'm done running from this connection. So again, someone you're in no contact with, maybe strategizing, planning, putting plans into action as far as making that move back towards you, drafting some kind of communication, maybe even, taking that next step, making that journey to reach out to you from afar. But they definitely feel to be somebody that wants to bring forth proof of change, actions that can support promises rather than just kind of cycles of, the what ifs and the possibilities and potentials, like wanting to bring forth something very solid and stable and reliable so that you know what you're working with, you know what you're getting if they resurface. This is somebody also, if you're currently dealing with them and they were in kind of like a passive energy, enjoying the time you were spending together, but just feeling inadequate, that they wouldn't be somebody who would satisfy you long term, that they, were kind of like not on your level in some way. self-sabotaging, kind of like no choice being a choice. This again is sort of, they've gathered some courage, some initiative, something about even just the subtle distance that has accumulated or that is being developed between the two of you through their inaction and passivity, and your continued standing in your authenticity, continuing to move forward toward whatever the horizon has for you. They're sensing that distance, and they're now it is a motivating factor for them to really put some plans to action, to really get to business, to really get activated and take action steps to try and cement in or solidify the connection in some way. They also say, I hold back because I don't want to be rejected. So confirmation right there of somebody with a bit of a lack mentality, that they're needing to work beyond. They're needing to go from that energy of the page, the uncertainty, this kind of like immaturity and the possibility and being a bit hesitant. And they're actively working to, come to this queen energy, the confidence, the certainty, the willingness to put themselves out there, to reemerge from the past, or to participate with you, to construct with you the future that can develop between the two of you, rather than it just being a one-sided sort of equation. They're wanting to be very reciprocal in this connection, but it's requiring like personal growth on their part in order to reach that place of readiness to move with you into the future. And they also say, I'm not used to a connection like this, so I run. So again, something that is really kind of like breath of fresh air, something that has sparked and awakened them, something that is inspiring them to change, that it's not too late to change. These dreams of a particular type of partnership or a particular type of person, these don't have to pass them by. And it feels like, for the most part, rather than like actively running, although, that can definitely be part of this equation where they've kind of moved in the other way, thinking, well, it wouldn't work out anyway, it would fall apart in the end, so why bother? And they just sort of took off in the other direction, or just sort of let you fall away from their life in some manner. That it feels that it's mostly, passivity here, that time just continues to pass, that you came into their awareness in some manner, kind of like very unexpected, breath of fresh air energy. And here was this opportunity to like, let's go, let's move, let's evolve, let's get things, shake things up in some manner. Let's bring these dreams back to life. Let's change that future. Let's move toward a different horizon than whatever the prospects had looked like prior to encountering you. And in the past, this individual had just sat there. They had not had the confidence or the wherewithal to kind of like take those action steps to work with you, to grow with you, to build with you, to change and evolve with this connection. But for a lot of you, they've seen the light, they've been shaken awake in some kind of way, and they're sort of like, if I don't pick up the pace, if I don't do something, then I will never know. This will definitely be that self-fulfilling prophecy, something that just kind of moves off into the distant horizon. But for whatever reason, whether it's current or previous partnership, they're feeling like there's still this window of opportunity, and rather than continuing to allow more time to pass, this is someone who's starting to really get themselves into gear, get their act together, do what they need to do in order to build that confidence, improve that lifestyle, build that self-esteem, just whatever that looks like, so that they have something to offer to you that is sustainable, that can contribute to the vibration and the energy that you bring to their life. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit about this connection. Okay, we have Goddess. Honor your divine feminine energy. See your inner beauty. Love every part of you. So confirmation right there that, they hold you in very high regard, a lot of respect. You represent wish fulfillment for them in a lot of ways, and your encouragement is to continue to do you, continue to move toward your own horizons, and allow this person the opportunity to step into that masculine energy, that active energy, to take the steps necessary to really pick themselves up out of the pity party, out of the malaise, out of the lack mentality, and take those steps towards you. The best thing you can do for this situation is to continue to just be in receptive mode. open to the possibility of change, open to the unexpected, open to whatever those blessings are that mirror and match your vibration of abundance within. Whether it is this person who gets their act together and, you know, they continue to take these steps necessary, they rise to the occasion, they follow you on into the future, or if this is somebody else you encounter along the way, and maybe this is a lesson for this individual of sort of, blessings that come along that don't come along every day. It's in their highest good to, accept these things, to confront the fear within and make a choice to move through anyway. Regardless of what sort of the future holds in this situation, this is really spirit letting you know that you are worthy and deserving of healthy and reciprocal love. So continue occupying the vibration that you are in, doing the work that you're doing. You're sending out a particular signal, a particular beacon. Even this person has realized and registered that in some manner, and the universe will deliver you a partnership, a person that is able to kind of like reciprocate and meet you at that level. Whether it's this individual or somebody else, keep doing you because you are in the process of aligning with that deep soul level love. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, got Z, M, E, B, T, D, P, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 4. Chose the cherry quartz. So I'm going to start with the energies of Ben. How was this person feeling last time you dealt with them or talked to them? If this is a no contact situation or someone you're in separation with, or if this is someone you're currently dealing with, kind of what were they feeling about you, maybe when they first met you or recently? Okay, so we have the moon, which is Pisces and Cancer. The high priestess, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The devil, which is Capricorn. Two of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Candles, magic. And altar, dedication. So they definitely see you as somebody very mysterious. Well, in the past, they saw you as somebody very mysterious, very intriguing, somebody with a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, somebody that could teach them different levels of love, how to love, teach them more deeply about intimacy between two people, about partnership, somebody who has had a lot of life experience, both good and bad, that has sort of shaped you into the person that you are today. This devil energy can almost lead into kind of obsession, fixated. You captivated their attention, and it almost feels to be something where they had in the past devoted a lot of time to try and understanding what is it about you that moves them so much. What is it about you that holds and kind of harbors all of this wisdom, this magic, this light within you. Something about your spiritual practices as well could have been very intriguing to this person. Maybe that is how you interacted with one another, how they met you, how they discovered you or came to know of you. Maybe you're somebody with a social media presence, a spiritual community, some kind of a platform where you're talking about these things. That, it feels like, is the first thing, or one of the first things that kind of like sparked their attention in some manner. This is somebody who, more than just having like a very sort of tangible or surface level or kind of like a visceral sort of passion or attraction to you, on some manner, on some level, they felt very spiritually attracted to you, very drawn, very magnetized towards you. There's a lot of past life energies here, so there's a sense of almost like deja vu that was going on, a sense of, don't I know you from somewhere, your energy being so familiar to them. A bit of a forbidden fruit energy as well. Either they saw you as somebody who was very kind of dedicated to a particular path that you were walking, dedicated to self-love, to healing, to spirituality, to ascension. There could have been a questioning as far as what they had to really bring to the table. They almost might have seen you in this very angelic energy, and it really highlighted for them kind of like the devil energy, something where they may have thought that their presence would have only kind of added disorder to your life, that you were both on two separate pages from two separate worlds, your focus, your priorities, your lives, your experiences, what you kind of were surrounding yourselves with. These were very different. And yet at the same time, there's a lot of kind of like inspiration for change in some manner. You awakened something within this individual that really caused them to kind of like question or even perhaps be deeply triggered on a shadow level. This is someone who could have really been drawn towards you, and at the same time very affected in kind of a negative manner by these feelings, the nature of these feelings, maybe the nature of these differences between you or circumstances, kind of being from two different worlds, the yin and the yang, that you sparked or instigated like a questioning within this person, triggering them to change, to question their belief systems about love and partnership, or themselves as well. And so while they were very much drawn towards you, it's something where they were feeling very confronted, a lot of shadowy energies, a lot of lack, a lot of residual heartbreak, a lot of fears surfacing from within them. In the past, they saw you as somebody definitely standing in your power, very much operating in this energy of knowing yourself, harnessing your gifts, utilizing your gifts. Maybe these are psychic or spiritual gifts or other kind of gifts of discernment, creative gifts, gifts of communication, gifts of empathy, healing gifts, whatever that kind of looks like for you. They saw you in the past as somebody very much like standing in your purpose. You had found your stride, you had found or created a niche for yourself in some manner. And there was this energy of kind of them being called to action in some way, wanting to join you, wanting to kind of link up with you, to exchange energy, for the two of you to learn from one another, a sense of really being called to stand by your side. A lot of maybe even like psychic gifts, or again, kind of that past life energy, a lot of deja vu that could have really been sparked within them. A sense of, we've done this dance before, we've been on this journey before, but with that, it feels like also really surfaced a lot of these unconscious or hard to define memories of kind of like difficulty, shadowy energies, devil energies you both had experienced in tandem with one another in the past. So very much drawn towards you, and at the same time, very much like recoiling or being shown or confronted with a lot of fear, a lot of intensity here. These are deep feelings. These are very kind of like spiritual feelings. Is sort of how they were harboring you in the past, a sense of feeling very balanced and matched with you, despite how odd that may have looked like from the surface, despite all of this energy of like fear and recoiling, being so drawn into you, not able to kind of like break from the grip of this connection, very dedicated to this, to discovering some mystery in some way, to, you know, at least remaining in kind of the peripheral of your experience, never wandering too far, always wanting to kind of like keep an eye on you, learning from you, studying you. You know, a lot of kind of like thoughts and energies of various natures being directed in your manner or in your way. And it's something where, you know, in some level, there was just a sense of, which may have really kind of like caused this person to question, or it was kind of just like spooky or unexplainable, but there's a sense of destiny almost, that the two of you somehow in some way were meant to kind of be together, that no matter how that looked on the surface, it's the two of you in the end. And that could have been something that was a very freeing feeling, a very comforting feeling, and yet a very terrifying feeling, because it almost defied logic in some manner, like the life that they built for themselves or who they imagined themselves to be. A lot of kind of the energy of awakening and kind of tower moments, dark night of the soul, and yet very kind of linked into your light in some manner. A lot of activations happening. Someone who may not have even been familiar with like energy before, and all of a sudden they're sort of thrown into this world or into this reality, or into, you know, not just kind of like reading or hearing about these concepts, but experiencing that very viscerally in their own life, which could have brought up, again, a lot of fears, but also a lot of intrigue, a lot of mystery that they were needing to really dig beyond. A lot of deep affection that they have for you as well in the past. A sense of peace despite all of this kind of chaos. So you represented in the past both the storm and the sanctuary. And so it feels to be something that they were very conflicted about these feelings in the past, which may have caused them to run from the connection. Or if this is somebody that you're dealing with, they're kind of just being tossed around in all of that, kind of both polarities, being drawn towards you and yet trying to run, but almost just like in your grip, in the grip of the energy of this situation. Like they can't break free. Their eyes have been opened in some manner, and there's almost like no closing them. So I'm going to take a look at the energies of now. How have these feelings, these thoughts, these impressions changed? Have they changed, or are they still just sitting in this energy? Okay, so we have the Page of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Justice, which is Libra. The Fool, which is Aries. The High Priestess again, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Litha, Intensification. And Lunasa, Prosperity. So they are still viewing you as the keeper of wisdom with this High Priestess. You still represent both the mystery and the answer. Definitely, you know, with this idea of like intensification, these feelings, this kind of like push-pull dynamic, all of this chaos, all of this activation within them, this process of needing to really balance things out, being confronted with a lot of fears, and at the same time, you know, a lot of very visceral potential and possibility. These have only intensified over time. Whether this is someone you're currently dealing with, the notches keep getting turned up in this kind of experience, and how that manifests for them. If this is someone from the past, the distance between the two of you has not served to extinguish these feelings. There's even more of a draw towards you. There's more of a curiosity, wanting to find out more, wanting to explore more, being so like terrified about this as well. It does feel that a lot of that terror, though, has kind of subsided in a way that in some manner they may have either come to a bit of understanding through their own kind of like research, or even just kind of like acclimating to this process of whatever was awakened or activated within them. They're feeling a little more in control, a little bit of self-mastery, but this is still page energy. There's still a lot of room for improvement there. But they're looking at this in terms of a long-term situation. Either someone who wants to come back from the past to rebuild, to try to work with these energies in a more direct way so that you can move toward the energy of harvest, harvesting the full potential, actualizing the full potential, balancing the scales in this situation, and cooperating with one another in the interest of a new beginning, rather than kind of like setbacks. Possibilities are the focus at this point in time. Seeing this connection as kind of like a doorway to some kind of alignment with like a higher version of themselves, something about this kind of activation, ascension process, even what is, a lot of maybe even like heart chakra activation and kind of what's changing within them through just this perpetual sort of like fascination and fixation, this effect that whether you're dealing with them currently or it's someone from the past, you're still exchanging energy very actively with one another. And you're almost helping this person, being like a guiding light or a companion through these kind of ebbs and flows within themselves, through the ego death, through the dark night of the soul, through this ascension process, to where if they had in the past almost kind of blamed you or thinking that the culprit was being in connection with you, being close in proximity with you, there's an understanding that those energies, that frequency, that kind of occurrence can't be turned off in the distance. So now they're kind of leaning in, wanting to open that door, explore, kind of dive deeper, take that leap of faith, and trusting that whatever they find on the other side, whatever the two of you develop into together, at least there's this companionship. It's the two of you feeling almost that this experience, whatever this process is, whatever they are being kind of clued into or is activating within them, is growing and expanding within them, that their life is better with you in it. So there's an interest in restoration and kind of clearing the slate, moving beyond the fears, and giving reciprocally to the connection, working toward a fresh start, or taking those next steps toward what the future may hold, what possibilities are as yet untapped, rather than kind of like fearing the mystery. It's the intrigue that this person has been like craving and what they've been wanting and needing. They're liking all of this. They're learning a lot from this experience. They're learning a lot from you. It feels to be something that's also expanded, their spiritual path, their spiritual awareness in some way. They may be kind of like learning things, gathering knowledge, again, really acclimating more to this whole process, which is making them on an energetic level more comfortable with kind of leaning in closer to this connection or returning to this connection. Definitely, if it's a no contact, separation was necessary for each of you to really just calibrate yourselves very individually in your own energy. So if it had been kind of they were mundane, you're the high priestess, it's almost like you both are in this kind of high priestess, high priest energy right here, in the process of sort of leaning into this mystery, into this unknown, into this very kind of unusual experience and dynamic that has both romantic components and spiritual components to it. So there's a lot of growth energy here, a lot of sort of like the shedding of fears, in the interest of seeing what more can develop. Someone who is looking at this connection, looking at you, looking at this situation, despite as kind of confusing as, energetically chaotic as it may be, that this is a situation worth investing in. This is worth the time. It's worth the attention. It's something that they don't want to pass them by, or if they have already kind of allowed it to pass them by, this is somebody who's wanting to circle back around to see, can we salvage this? Can we start again? I feel better in my energy. I've kind of like reached a place in my activation or my awakening where I think I can keep up with you now. I'm at least curious to try, curious to start again, curious to kind of build and grow and step into this kind of new timeline or this new type of experience of love and partnership that is very different from what they had expected when they first met you, or that they had ever experienced or known of in love and partnership before. So I'm going to get a few messages from their higher self and see what do they want to tell you. Okay, and they say, I do want to make things right with you. Give me that opportunity. So confirmation of somebody that you're in no contact with or from the past, wanting to circle back around to see if there's the potential to start over, to build again. If they had run from the intensity of this connection, they are now wanting to invest, wanting to open themselves, a lot more open-mindedness that they are bringing towards you than they had in the past. If this is someone you're currently dealing with who has almost just been frozen in place, kind of like deer in the headlights, through this churning, through these activations, it feels like they bit off more than they could chew. They may have approached you or just thought this would be a run-of-the-mill kind of romantic connection, and it's like this whole whirlwind of things on a spiritual level, on an energetic level, things that are very much outside of their element in a lot of ways that could have made them almost just not be able to give or invest very much up to this point in time or previously, because they were just being kind of like activated and their eyes being open, their mind being blown in a lot of ways. But it feels that they've kind of like reached a plateau, even if there's still a lot of mystery, still a lot of things that are happening that are very chaotic. They're feeling a lot more assured of themselves and wanting to give more to the connection than they had in the past. They also say you're so different, but that's why I love you. So definitely this is an extraordinary, out of this world kind of connection. They didn't anticipate all that would be entailed with making a move towards you, coming into contact with you, your worlds colliding in some manner. This feels very much like spiritual awakening, ascension kind of energy, just who you are, what you represent, where you are on your own particular path. You're different from the types of partners that they've dealt with before. Your energy is different. What is happening to them, the feelings which are surfacing, both the fears and kind of this energy of enticement, it's all so intense, it's all so next level, it's something which they can't shut off. They can't keep themselves away for too long, even if it's a no contact situation. They keep circling back around to you. Their focus keeps returning to you. They can only distract themselves or sort of turn off the intrigue of this connection for so long. And it's something that they may have fought for a while, but are now they're really liking this. They're liking this very exceptional and unique and kind of like next level otherworldly experience. They also say I'm severing ties with the karmic partner. So this can talk about third-party interferences, somebody who just on their own kind of like spiritual journey, ascension journey, they're no longer fitting into situations that have kind of outlived their expiration date. And this may have been something where, based on this triggering kind of energy, they could have in the past leaned into that devil mode and gone back to what was familiar, pushed this connection away, tried to stuff down or suppress or deny their feelings due to everything that was happening, not just in the heart space, not just on the emotional level, the romantic level, but it feels also energetically and spiritually speaking. But this definitely feels to be a confirmation of someone who's no longer fighting this. They're trying to work with these energies, work with the flow of the connection. They've evolved in a lot of ways, or they have been evolved by the universe, maybe tower moments, dark night of the soul, to where they're really starting to look around and recognize what environments, what belief systems, what structures in their life, whether these are other romances, friendships, family dynamics, belief systems, lifestyles, things they're doing for a career that no longer fit this version of themselves that they are becoming and that they have become as a byproduct of having met you, having intersected with you, having connected with you. Definitely feels to be a lot of kind of mirrored energy of two people who have been sparked and awakened. So this definitely can be like twin flame energy right here. And this can talk about, that runner who tried to just kind of stuff down and say, no, I don't want this. Only once those eyes are opened, once that kind of spark, that awakening happens, there's no going back. There's no stopping that. And so somebody who may have been trying to fight that or kind of doing things the hard way, they're now in this energy of surrender, in this energy of wanting to kind of work with this and grow and develop in a different way. They also say I've been more focused on money because I'm trying to build for myself. So again, kind of retreating into that comfort zone of what is predictable, known, and familiar in a material sense, things of a spiritual nature, of an energetic level, being very much outside of their comfort zone. And so admitting from the higher self here that they almost were taking the easy way out, trying to distract themselves or focus on other things in order to just try and sort of shut down or mute out everything that was happening, this draw, this curiosity, everything that was being activated within them. And it's something where they really have turned a corner. They're starting to explore, even just very kind of quietly internally within themselves, the possibility of why this has happened, what they can utilize these energies and this experience for to create a different kind of reality for themselves. This is also really talking about kind of building out of the ashes, out of whatever foundation has crumbled, either through the two of you going into separation or ways in which their perceptions have been opened. They're no longer fitting in with the same people. They're no longer resonating with the same kind of vibration, belief systems, lifestyles, choices, habits, connections in any way that they at one point in time did. They have changed. And so this really talks about changes that are taking place then in their material world and their material reality in terms of their relationships, and most importantly, the relationship with self, which is then kind of the doorway to being able to bring forth change or to continue to grow and evolve and move into the future of what is possible in this connection between the two of you. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit now about the situation. Okay, and we have flow. Find an easier path forwards, surrender the outcome, release your expectations. So beautiful guidance right there as far as allowing this person to circle back around to you, allowing them to disconnect themselves from the deer in the headlights energy and to start to grow and to start to respond and make the changes that they need to make in order to rise to the occasion, to meet you on your level, to match the frequency that this vibration or that this connection, vibrationally speaking, presents for the two of you. Continue to be very unattached to when and if this person will return, if this is somebody you're in no contact with, or if it's someone you're currently dealing with that might just be kind of, sort of hot and cold with you, leaning in and then pulling away, trusting in the process and whatever it is that's happening, whatever it is that's being calibrated within them vibrationally, internally, and in their life. As overwhelming as this experience has been for you, it has been overwhelming for them as well. Being very mindful of like your own personal process of acclimating, adjusting, the effects that are still taking place within you and within your life as a result of having come into contact with this individual. Kind of putting yourself in their shoes and understanding that they may not have the same kind of like spiritual tools as you do, their way of dealing with things, maybe to just kind of like harbor and stuff down. Although it's mirrored energy, their shadows, what they're being confronted with, although it's the same kind of like current of fear, it may be manifesting very differently. While you're both in kind of like a growth and an evolution process, it may look very different for the two of you. So really trusting in the process, trusting in divine timing, and trusting that, if it's meant to be in this situation for the two of you to continue forth, then you will. And if it is meant that this situation was just meant to kind of like activate and awaken each of you to kind of pivot on your own unique paths of spirituality, your own unique paths of self-love and kind of like self-awareness and self-acceptance, trusting whatever is in kind of like the divine plan in this sense, moving with that, following the signs, following the guidance, following, your own intuition, and really striving to create that sense of abundance, becoming that love you hope to receive outside of yourself, and trusting that in the time and manner that it's meant to, either this person will, become more consistent, return to you, participate, and continue to grow in an active and outward manner with this connection. And if they choose not to, if they choose to continue to kind of retreat off into that energy of fear, trusting that the universe will provide you with a resonant soul who will meet you at your level, see you, even be activated by you on a certain level, but will choose to participate in the growth process and will flow with you on into whatever that horizon looks like. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. M, C, J, Y, U, W, H, and L. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.